Tell her to go on her phone in her bedroom and listen.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, you have to just.
Gonna dance.
Yeah, I like it. Sounds an intro to Shrek.
Good morning, my Cafecito colleagues. Welcome to Cafecito con Colon. It is 9 o'clock on a beautiful Monday morning. Started out the day in the early 70s outside on this 10th day of August, which also happens to be the 24th anniversary of the day I said I do, and so did my bride. So happy anniversary to Aleli. Here's 24 down, 26 to go, and then all bets are off. She's only got a 50-year sentence, and then she can re-up it. So we shall see how that goes. Good morning to the Germain trifecta. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Look at that. They made it nice and easy for me. They are all under one roof. So they have one camera, one roof, one connection on our Zoom to Facebook Live on Cafecito con Colon. It is great to have them here this morning. Good morning to the Germain trifecta. Get started with some links and then we will bring them to camera. I'm going way short on links today because I want to maximize the opportunity I have to visit with this incredible trio of New Mexicans. Look at that, $3 million smiles in a row. If this was tic-tac-toe, I'd win, 3 across. I got to tell you, I loved on Andrew's resume, which I had to beg for because these are very humble people. You gotta work to get it out of them. But on Andrew's resume, it's awesome. It says pleasant personality, and I just yes, indeed, that is a Germain family trait. Pleasant personality.
Yeah.
I love that.
Pleasant personality. That's fun. I gotta add that to mine.
Yes. In bold. All right, let's get started this morning. Let's see if I can put up a few links. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I know I did, and it was beautiful all weekend long, and the weather was great, and we got some things off the deck. I felt like I was straightening deck chairs all weekend, just getting little things done so I could focus on a great week. And I'm ready to go. It's going to be a great week. Let me just say that, you know, we hit an unfortunate milestone, but it is reality of where we're at today. And we hit the 5 million mark for COVID-19 positive cases. And
Wow.
that was pretty unbelievable when you think about it. But I got to tell you, I'm excited to say that for those of you that don't follow the daily COVID-19 in New Mexico, our 7-day rolling average is on the decline. We had less than, I think, 350 cases over the weekend, and the numbers are looking great. We have one of the lowest infection rates in the country at 3%, and that is fantastic. So New Mexico, thank you to the leadership. Thanks to New Mexicans for embracing best practices, doing the right thing, and making New Mexico a safe place for our families, or as safe as it can be during the coronavirus pandemic. Good morning, Teresa Marie. Good morning, Rachel. And Rodney Bowe is with us. Selena.
Hi, Rodney.
Everybody loves Rodney. Yeah. Rodney's my friend. So John Moore, buenas noches. What side of the world are you on, John Moore? It is good morning. Buenos dias de Dios. To you, John. Thank you for joining me this morning. Good morning, Dr. Lang. Dr. Roybal, on this feast day of San Lorenzo, St. Larry's feast day is today, and he was a martyr of the Roman Catholic Church, and he was asked to turn over the treasures of the church, and he turned over and said, "These are our treasures," and he had the afflicted and the poor and the sick and the needy. And he indicated that that was the treasure of the church. And as a result, he became a martyr because I think that they if I remember correctly, for St. Lawrence, they burned him alive, failing to turn over the riches of the church. But I think of him when I think of philanthropy. I think of those who serve others in need. And Dr. Lawrence Roybal, you lift up New Mexico's youth every single day in your work, and I appreciate you very much. So happy feast day for all those who observe the Roman Catholic tradition. Good morning, Irma Ruiz. Talk about someone who serves other and lifts up our community, celebrates our heritage, tells our story, and is an incredible, incredible mom. Most of all, I love the way she puts her son first in all that she does, and I've loved watching her Hito grow up. Good morning, Marjorie, the matriarch of the Germain tribe here in Albuquerque.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Let me just, you have to laugh because before we came to camera, these three incredible young Germains, the Germain trifecta, they had to do everything in their power to get her out of the room. She wanted to be, she wanted to be making sure they were taking notes and slipping them little helps and hints and all that stuff. And she's such a great mom. She loves her kids so much. And good morning, Elizabeth. Good to see you this morning. Look, I'm saying shout outs to everybody instead of posting links. But let me do this. Let's see. This is a bigger story, but USA Today has a compendium of pieces here, but it does touch on the 5 million mark for the United States. The other thing is, holy schmoly, the North Carolina, Virginia got rocked yesterday by an earthquake that hit over 5.
Oh, wow.
Richter.
Oh, wow.
It was off the chart. It was the highest and most powerful earthquake since 1916. So over 100 years since they have an earthquake on record. New Mexico lost an entrepreneur. We've been talking about entrepreneurs a lot on Cafecito con Colon, but I bet the three of you have heard of the Family Fun Center, and Mr. Hinkle passed away.
Oh, no.
Mr. Hinkle passed away a little less than 2 weeks ago.
Send our condolences.
I met him years ago. Didn't know him, but I met him. But he was 92 years old.
Well, congrats on that.
Amazing, huh? He grew up on a farm where he milked the cows and he fed the hogs and the chickens and the horses. And he cut hay like I did down in Valencia County, bucking those bales. I never shucked corn. He shucked corn. He went to University of Missouri in 1945. We met him.
Wow.
And this is why there's a connection. The three of you are like, does he know that we went to the Hinkle Family Fun Center, or what's the connection? But here's the connection. Guess what? Mr. Hinkle, in 1945, he met his bride, Betty Lou Blake, and she was not only a cheerleader, but guess what? She was a beauty queen. So there's a connection.
Oh, good connection.
Brian Colon brings it around back to the trifecta right there. Right there. See what I did there? You see what I did? Oh,
you got to through a loop there. I like it.
Right there, huh? I looped it right back. Right back. So let's see here. Let me see. What else do I have for you? And then we're going to bring you to camera. So let's see. Oh, you know what? This is a cool story. Solar power, beaming solar power from space to the Earth may be becoming practical. And there is a New Mexico connection there. Thanks to the Albuquerque Journal for posting that up. And let's see here. Oh, let me, this weekend, one of the things I did was went over to St. Therese to get my first sack of roasted green chili. It was
good. It's the time of the year.
It is that time of the year, and the chili at St. Therese, you can get it from, I think, 10 to 5 today. They roast it for you. It's $35 a bag. St. Therese Parish is going to reap the proceeds and the benefits of this chili sale to help offset their losses because there's no fiestas this year. And my chili, it was awesome. There's a video of me circulating. It's been viewed about 1,500 times of me doing a taste test, and it was fantastic. Loved it. But the harvest is going to be hit this year by the pandemic, and I posted the story there, so maybe get your chili right away. And there's some restaurateurs and some gym owners who are not afraid of the future in New Mexico. They're still opening their new businesses. There's a link to one of them. Thank you, KRQE, for covering good story. The last thing I'm going to cover is a bit of history here, and it's an AP story, but it's a story from 55 years ago. Back May, June, I think it's the anniversary of the Watts riots. And there's some very powerful photography that was in there. And this AP story, I think, covers a very important part of our history. So good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Neely. Great to see everybody. It is 10 minutes after the hour. And as promised, because I've got 3 guests, I'm going early this morning, because we've got 3 superstars. And I want to give them a chance to tell us their story, their lived experience, how they get out of bed every day, embracing the day ahead of them with an attitude of positivity that I know starts at the top. In accountancy and in auditing, we talk about the tone at the top. And I know your parents, they look through a lens of gratitude, they look through a positive lens, and they also look through a lens of accountability and holding themselves to some standards of raising 3 beautiful children in a positive way. And they've done that, and you are the result, and we are the beneficiary because you are part of our community. So thank you for being here. Welcome to the Germain trifecta. So here's what I said. You know what? I learned something thanks to Jonathan Muniz. I went to for the first time in a long time, I went to the Toastmasters Club. And I've learned to be a little more careful with my hand gestures during my Zoom meetings, because apparently it's been shown that when you reach out this way, it's a hostile movement to the viewers subconsciously, right? So you're supposed to have like alligator arms. You're supposed to keep your arms real close. Little alligator. I'm trying to be less hostile. I'm not being hostile. I'm actually embracing you this morning. See, there's your lesson for the day, no charge. Let me just say, before we brought them to camera, I told each of them that I said, look, I got to get some ages down here because I can't figure out who's the first in the family, who's the last in the family. But I learned very quickly this morning, but it wasn't because I could tell by looking at these 3 beautiful New Mexicans who was the youngest, who was the eldest. But Andrew is the baby of the family right there, front and center. Andrew, Baby Blues. We're so glad Andrew's with us this morning. He's about to turn 21 years old. He said he's never had a drop of alcohol, but he may start once he turns 21.
I don't know if my mom will let me, but maybe.
We'll see how that goes. Keep me posted, Andrew.
All right.
And then, so it's easy to say. What's that?
We'll do another Zoom meeting for his first drink.
Right. Hey, we could do that. We could have a toast to Andrew Germain. Live on Cafecito con Colon. I'll get my little scotch out. I'll get one of my good ones, and I'll lift a glass to you, Andrew Germain.
Nice.
And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Alexandra. Good morning, Alexandra. Good to see you.
Hello.
Great to see you. You look terrific. And then Naomi, thank you for joining me, Naomi.
Morning. Hello.
Good to see you this morning. I think what I'll do is I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about all 3 of you, and then we'll just start a little visit. Is that okay?
Yes, sounds good.
All right. So Andrew, the baby of the family, he's just so fantastic. He's the one that likes to promote the fact that he's got a pleasant personality.
I do indeed. Yeah.
He does. He's currently a student at CNM, our largest institution of higher learning in New Mexico, doing a great job after he got his associate's degree in information technology. He's formerly a graduate of Volcano Vista High School, and he graduated on time with his peers. We're proud of you for having the tenacity, the stick-to-itiveness, the grit to get it done. He was at St. Pius before he got that degree over there at Volcano Vista. He's completed an internship at Explora. Currently, he is with the city of Albuquerque. See, one of the things that I don't get to do because I'm not the mayor of the city of Albuquerque is I don't get to have you working in my constituent services department, but our fantastic mayor, Tim Kelly, was smart enough to have you in that constituent services office. doing great outreach through the AmeriCorps program, and he's got a Vista internship there. I know that if Patricia L. Chavez is with us this morning, she loves the Vista program. He's been there. You've been doing that work for, has it been a decade? Have you been doing it that long?
No, not a decade. It's been about like 5-6 months. I got another 6 months on me. The work's been great. I've loved it. David and Nick Voltero, they're just amazing. So I've been really enjoying it.
I thought there's no way. So
Yeah.
So hey, Drew, here's
Yeah.
the thing. I need you to fix the typo on your resume. It says you started there in December 2010.
Okay.
What
Okay.
he started just now, December 2019, probably, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2019. Probably
We're
took the,
Fix that little typo there.
yeah, of course.
See, on Cafecito con Colon, you get all these freebies. I'm doing resume review.
Yeah, thank you.
We gotta find a way to thank you.
Yeah. You know, when I was a lawyer, I used to charge people $350 an hour to do that. So now, but before that, he worked as an intern and a counselor at Explora. So he's got a great love of children and service and community. And we love that his passion points are served in the work that he does. He's also been known to make a very, very delicious cup of coffee because he's a professional barista.
Yeah, I was.
If you're not sure whether your shoes fit you right, he also is a shoe expert. So I'll let him.
I am as well.
Right, Andrew?
I was able to, I think, lace the whole entire shoe under a minute, so I was pretty happy about that.
That's amazing. I can't get my shoes tied under a minute today, and I'm 50 years old. Hey, Alexandra was born and raised in Albuquerque. She was raised by Haitian American parents that allowed Alexandra to shape herself into being the incredible human being she is today. She and her siblings are first generation Americans, and her parents always inspired them to go above and beyond. And I've seen that in my personal experiences with this trifecta. She's currently studying psychology with a minor in child development at the University of New Mexico. Now, one of the first ways that I learned about her passion was hearing her story, hearing about what she cares about, because she was in pageantry. And in fact, not only was she in pageantry in New Mexico, she competed in 2015 for the Miss America pageant with her older sister, Naomi. And she represented Albuquerque for a year as the state title holder. She's just tremendous. One of her fun facts, if you don't know this about Alexandra, she competed, and this is big news today because poor Simon broke his back. Did you hear that?
I know, I heard.
Like in 3 different places. The guy's got a metal rod. He had to have surgery. I mean, the guy.
Oh my gosh, I heard about that.
Horrible.
Awful.
Electric motorbikes or something. I couldn't figure it out exactly what he fell on, but she competed in America's Got Talent, AGT, baby, AGT. She is amazing. But here's what I love about the work she does is she's changing lives and helping people go from being victims to survivors to people who thrive in their community. She does great work in my home county at a domestic violence shelter in Los Lunas. Isn't that right?
It's right, it's correct. I'm the education and outreach advocate at Valencia Shelter Services. So under my title, I talk to high schoolers and middle schoolers, and we talk about what consent looks like, what boundaries look like. And it's really important that we touch on those topics because a lot of children, not just in New Mexico, but all over the country, they don't have those skill sets. So it's important that we reestablish them and get them knowing that it's okay to have full control and license over your life and your body.
What a powerful message. Let's try and weave that in today. Thank you for doing that work in my home county. I'm a Los Lunas Tiger for life. Class of 88. And as I sit here before you today on the 24th anniversary of my wedding, I'm about 60 or 70 pounds less than the day I got married, and I'm almost 100 pounds less than I was in not quite. I'm about 70 pounds less than I was in high school. So some of my classmates don't recognize me. They say, "You're half the man you used to be, Colon." And in some ways that may be true. But thank you for doing that very, very impactful work in our community of taking people from
Thank you.
being victims to people who thrive in our community. and who have the capacity, because I know you know the importance of peer support, right? That idea
Absolutely, yeah.
that peer-to-peer mentoring, peer-to-peer support, and peer-to-peer storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that we have in this space of helping people go from becoming a victim to no fault of their own to being a survivor and then someone who thrives in their community, right?
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Say that again.
I said I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, yes, you could have, because you're amazing. Let's talk about the end of the couch there. Or no, we got 3 chairs on end of it. It's not a couch.
Yeah.
You know what I'd really like to do? What I really want to do, I thought about this yesterday because I was looking at some of the pictures. My goodness, your mom has so many beautiful pictures of the 3 of you. It's a shame.
She loves pictures.
She loves pictures.
It's a shame she's not very proud of you. My goodness, I couldn't find a picture. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was thinking, she sent me all those beautiful pictures. So many of them are in your home, right? And I thought maybe I could spend a whole cafecito just getting a tour of the Germain house, right? Because I feel like I could get the world history through the eyes of an African American family in your home. You got so many-
You definitely could.
You can. You definitely can.
Am I right?
Yes. And you'll
Say
see
that again. Say that again. Naomi.
Oh, I said all the way from Haiti to New Mexico. We could tell you the whole in the museum. That's our home.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Naomi is very humble, but incredibly accomplished. Let me just say that because I want to get you to camera. Naomi, I don't mean to cut your bio short, but I do want to just,
Yeah, no problem.
it's already 20 minutes after the hour. Naomi graduated. She was born and raised in Albuquerque, just like her sister that we just introduced. And she graduated from my alma mater. She's a very proud Lobo. She graduated from UNM with a degree in political science. And let me just tell you, it would not surprise me if someday I get to work on Naomi's campaign for governor or United States senator in the state of New Mexico, our land of enchantment, the 47 star.
We'll
on the
see.
She is currently serving as a legislative correspondent and systems administrator at the office of my Congresswoman, my dear friend who has been on the journey with me for so long. She started out working with me as an organizer in our Native American community and serving our indigenous population in New Mexico. But she works with that incredible woman, the Congresswoman from the 1st Congressional District, first woman with her friend and colleague to be the 2 women who started out, if you can believe it, the very first Native American women in our United States Congress. She works for Congresswoman Deb Haaland, my dear friend. Isn't that right?
Yes, I
Yes.
do. I'm very proud to work for her as well.
I feel like I spend at least 2 or 3 nights a week with my Congresswoman on a Zoom meeting, and she is my friend. And anytime I've got an issue, she and her staff do a great job of it. And Naomi is part of that. And I got to see Naomi in action and at work there in the Congresswoman.
Yeah.
I walked in and there was a ray of sunshine sitting there, and I looked a little closer and it was Naomi. I was so excited. So thanks for being a ray of sunshine in our Congresswoman's office. Naomi, tell us a little bit about your political journey and your passion for serving others.
Yeah, so to be candid, it started when I was in college at UNM, and I heard about canvassing and that you could, earn some extra money by helping folks, get to know their state representative, let them know that a race was coming up. And, after my first couple Saturdays, I was like, oh, you know what, this is actually fun. I like talking to people about candidates that I believe are doing the right thing for New Mexico. And it kind of just set off from there. I was able to get involved in, a couple more campaigns and get to know a lot of folks in our state party. And it was so incredible to just be able to, be face to face with these folks that are the real decision makers in our communities. And I worked a lot on building my relationships, and I'm a big proponent of just saying yes to things. If someone offers you something, you may not know exactly everything about it yet, but give yourself the room to grow and learn and kind of understand that. So
Naomi, let me have you pause there just for a second.
oh, okay, I didn't know how much to go into.
No, you're great. I don't want you to pause because I want you to stop. I want you to continue, but I just have to affirm that behavior because on Cafecito alone, we talk about being a yes and kind of person.
Right.
Yeah.
You just said that, like we talk about always, because there are so many people that operate with a default position of no, like what does it take to get them to the yes. And,
Yeah.
and we talk on Cafecito con Colon about being a yes and kind of person. It's like, yes, I'll come on Cafecito con Colon, and I'm going to bring Alexandra and Andrew with me, whether they like it or not. And we're going to do it next week, and we're going to make it happen. And you are a yes
Right.
person. Yes, I'm going to take that call in the Congresswoman's office, and I'm going to solve that constituent's problems or their concerns.
Definitely.
And so I just want to affirm that behavior. Part of why you're so enriched and why you are that ray of sunshine is because you are a yes and kind of person. So I just want to congratulate you on that. But keep going. I don't mind.
Yeah. And, you know, just for folks on the call as well, it's something to keep in mind when you're saying yes. You know, folks won't approach you, you know, to do these different jobs or positions if they don't see something in you or they don't see that you have that ability to do so. And, you know, sometimes it's easier said than done, but it's something that, you know, the three of us have just learned, you know, we've learned to say yes.
Just say yes.
So, so, you know, with that relationship building, I was able to just meet so many incredible people here in New Mexico who were, you know, sometimes don't always get the accolades that they deserve, but, you know, in that relationship building and in showing the work that I can and want to do for New Mexico, I was afforded opportunities like working for the Congresswoman in Washington, D.C. So very proud and happy to be able to do so.
I love that. Do you have an extra burden because you're the eldest? How does that work out? I know I was the eldest.
Yeah, so, you know, being the eldest of a first, you know, generation American family does carry its own weight. But, you know, I just gotta keep doing my best and remind myself, you know, my parents didn't come here for nothing. So
Wow,
just
I love that.
constant working.
Well, you know, it's fascinating. I'm sure that it adds texture to the lens you look through when you think about being that first generation, right? And like
Yeah.
Definitely.
the need to fulfill your parents' dreams, right? Like even I did, and being the first in my family to go to college and break the cycle of poverty. I've talked about that all the time here on this show.
Right.
But even more so when you think about what your parents sacrificed coming from Haiti and being of Haitian descent in a state that has a tiny, tiny Haitian population.
I'm
Tiny.
pretty sure I can name
We
them all
are
on
the
my
Haitian
hand.
population.
You know, I'm proud to say that Cafecito con Colon has had 47% of the Haitian population. Hey, thank you for that, Naomi. And thank you for your leadership. I personally know that burden also means not only do you have to set the example, not only do you have to bang at a higher clip because you're the eldest, you probably also get teased because your brother and sister think you're the favorite. Isn't that right? Don't you get?
Well, you'd be
We're
surprised.
You'd be surprised, depending on the day. Depending on the day, we can switch favorite positions.
But
Okay.
just know it's the
It's
youngest.
this one.
Okay.
I don't believe it, but if they say so.
Everybody loves Andrew.
It's that pleasant personality.
Yeah, it's a pleasant personality.
Personality.
Andrew P. Germain. Pleasant. Germain. I love it. Everybody's having a good time out here on these comments. People are just loving y'all.
Oh, yay. Hi, everyone.
So Alexandra, tell us about your passion points. I know you talked a little bit about that work, but tell me what drew you to it. Because, you know, at the core of the work we do, you know, for me, it's about repaying a debt I have to
Absolutely.
my community, right? That's where my service and my gratitude comes from. But tell us, what's that drive for you?
Well, I always had I'm an empath, so I always want to help someone if I can. And back in 2018, I competed for Miss Black America, and I was crowned Miss Black New Mexico. So I went to Kansas City, Missouri to compete nationally. And I made New Mexico history. I was the first runner-up, the farthest ever do it. And I came back home kind of feeling like, great, I accomplished somewhat of a goal, but what more can I do? And so I kind of sat down with myself and I wrote down what I want to do, what's my impact. And I realized that I've always loved children. I think they're so intelligent. I think that truly, they really can do anything if you just give them the tools and the love and the acknowledgement and the re-encouragement. And I applied. I sent an email to the executive director. I said, listen, this is who I am. This is what I love to do. And we sat down, I interviewed, got the position, and I was the first of that organization to do prevention. And really, it was a blessing because I got to really write down what I wanted for that program. I got to really decide what was impactful. What was I lacking when I went to school? What did I not have the conversations of? And so that's really what started it. And yeah, I'm in my second year and I love it. And due to COVID right now, so I can't teach in a classroom. So I make TikToks, and I'm actually working on a podcast for prevention. That's my other passion. I want to be a host of some sort. So I'm actually working on a podcast for prevention.
That's great. Well, you're gonna have to teach me how to TikTok, because it's the one platform I'm not on. But I guess I'm gonna wait to see if Microsoft is gonna write a big check. And buy the
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I might not have TikTok much longer.
Fingers crossed. Well, I guess we're holding the purchase hostage unless they write a big fat check to the U.S. How it all goes. I've never heard anything like that, but it's the way it's going to work for TikTok, and we'll see what happens. China, give it up, write us a big check, let TikTok survive in America, because
It's
I want to see
amazing.
Alexandra's TikTok page. You don't have a TikTok page, huh? You have a TikTok channel, or what do you have?
So I have a TikTok channel for Valencia Shelter Services. So
Okay.
I run it, but it's not mine.
Okay, got you. Well, we'll watch your TikTok. And
Awesome.
then you'll give us your podcast link so we can put it up on Cafecito con Colon, okay?
I will do that.
All right,
As this meeting's over, I have a meeting with DOH to do the whole podcast. So we'll see how it goes.
I love it. Hey, Andrew, Mr. P. Germain. Germain. Tell us about you. Tell us about what what makes your heart grow when you think about it.
Okay, well, having the two sisters that I do have, I feel like I kind of have really big shoes to fill. So
Heels?
heels to fill, or whatever you call it.
Those are like 9-inch stilettos.
Yeah.
Those are like chanclas on steroids.
Yeah. So right now, being as young as I am, I'm kind of just trying to experiment with a lot of things. With my time at the Civic Engagement Office with Mayor Keller, they kind of put me in the position of running their social media page for their volunteer program. So I was just kind of posting on Instagram and Twitter, and just trying to get the word out about volunteerism around Albuquerque. And with that, I've had thoughts of working for the city or working in government or working in like some type of political field, but I'm still not exactly sure what I have to do. So I guess right now it's just a lot of figuring myself out and what I want to do for the rest of my time.
Well, that makes sense. You're still a very, very young man. You're not even old enough to have a little copita.
Yeah.
Hey, but let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What's your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? That's kind of, they're gonna say that I love to stay in my room and play video games all day.
I was waiting for him to say that.
I don't know. It kind of depends. I'm a real people person, so if you get me outside of my shell, I'm gonna be probably the loudest person in the room. I love skating. I love mountain biking. I've done that a good bit this year. Really anything with my body besides me staying in my room all day and playing video games. So a good mixture of both.
Very nice, very nice. Hey, let's I want to kind of help our Cafecito colleagues kind of get a sense of what it's like for being first generation, having immigrant parents,
Yeah.
but with, we all have our own lens that we look through. And when we talk about immigrants in New Mexico, we most, in our mind's eye, think about Hispanic families in Albuquerque whose parents immigrated from Mexico. That's what I would believe that most of us think about when we think about first generation immigrants. And I'm wondering if you could help us kind of better understand maybe the challenge with being in a community that has such a small population of first generation immigrants who are Black boys or Black girls that have that lived experience, but is much, much different than the immigrant who is first generation from Mexico. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So with that, Naomi, and I know you're the eldest, you've competed in some big stages, and you're so deeply politically engaged, both in public policy and politics. tell us what that's been like for you, and then maybe Alexandra and Andrew, and then we'll flip it around. My next question, Andrew, we'll start with you.
Okay.
So yeah, I will start just with my, growing up here in Albuquerque. For the most part, until my sister was old enough to join school with me, we were always the only Black children in our entire school. Maybe it was one other person. So, at a very young age, I felt the need to, explain what everything was for the whole diaspora of Black people, to so many people. For many people here in Albuquerque, I am one of the only Black people that they know, or my family is the only Black people they know. So that carries its own weight in, because Black people are not just one mind of thinking. We do have multifaceted aspects to us, and especially being a first generation Haitian American, I do consider myself Black, part of the Black community, but I do carry a lot of Haitian values that come with it. So we have a very intersectional experience, on top of that being a young woman as well. So, I meet at all these different points in my life, and that give me that specific view. And, on one hand, it was harder when I was younger and didn't really know how to explain things, or why people were asking me things. I'm like, oh, I don't know, why are you asking me? Why don't you, Google it? I don't know. But on the other hand, I will say I appreciate Albuquerque in the fact that, folks call it the melting pot. So, there I got to experience so many other different cultures that did have similarities to mine. So, at times when it felt very isolating, there were also times where I felt like, oh, okay, well, everybody's a little bit different here, but we all get along for the most part. And I think as I've gotten older, and I remember, and I tell people this too, I didn't have my first Black professor until I got to UNM and took an Africana Studies class, which I think should be a mandatory class for folks, because, being a Black person with lived experience, I still learned so much about Black history and Black culture for the first time when I was 21 or 20 at UNM. So, for 20 years, that the culture aspect of it, you get your little section of civil rights in middle school and your little section in high school, but it's basically the same curriculum. You're not really building on anything. So I think that some of those courses should be mandatory for folks. In college, I feel like I wish I would have taken more of a Chicano studies courses as well. So I think, especially in our school curriculum, when certain things are mandatory, I don't know if I should say this, but I don't use my calculus ever. I don't use the 2 calculus courses I had to take, but I do constantly pull on things that I remember from my Africana Studies classes, especially now with the, I guess, revival of the Black Lives Matter movement. Calculus is never brought up, but it was mandatory for me to take those classes. So, it's a constant learning and growing, but I'm glad I got to do that learning and growing here in New Mexico.
Sure. Alexandra, do you have some thoughts about that?
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of what she said. I think growing up, you're young, you're just trying to figure out if the boy you have class with likes you, right? So then you're young, you're a child, and then you also have all those varies. I'm the only Black girl in my school, and then I'm also Haitian American. So there was, like she said, there's a difference, but there's so many similarities. And as I got older, I learned to appreciate that, because being a native Mexican, it has allowed me to be a chameleon in any room that I walk into. And I think that it's an injustice for sometimes when people don't have the cultural setting to be around people who don't always look the same as you, because you learn so much, even if it's Jamaican, Hispanic, Mexican, any of Latino, just any different races. When you're in a room, you can learn so much from. And although it can be challenging, I think that it's so important for everyone to kind of experiment in different things and talk to people, communicate, have conversations about where do we meet, where do we see different, and things like that. Because especially when times like this, she said, the revival of the Black Lives Matter, of course, we're going to have our opinions, but it's also is, how do we communicate with people who would see differently effectively? How do I communicate to you on a basis where you can understand, you can see me, and I can see you, understand you? And I think that where I am right now, I realize that all the trial and tribulations that I faced has really gotten me ready for this, because it's never going to be easy. We're always going to have another revival of a movement. It's just that we're human beings. We're always going to have to relearn lessons. We always have to learn new information. And I think that it's only been a blessing for me that I am so different. And I also want to touch on what she says when it comes to academics and the education system that we learn. I think it's also important that we push people to also always appreciate where you are from, but also explore outside of that, because there's so many different types of people out there. There's so many different cultures out there. And why not learn? Why not absorb more information? Why not love who you are, but also appreciate others too? And I think that once that's more of a common practice, I think we'll be a lot better. So I love being a Black woman. I love being a Haitian American woman. I love being a New Mexican native. And I think that's only gonna get better as the year go on. Even when there's our hard times, it's part of growing. Speechless, are you?
No, you know what I'm wondering is, I guess if I'm going to break boundaries, I might as well do it with you all, because
Yeah,
you
the
all know
trifecta.
of your family. And so if I make you slightly uncomfortable, it's not coming from a place of anywhere except that wanting to help us all understand the lived experience. And I guess what you prompted me to think about, Alexandra, is, you talked about being the only Black girl in the school or in your class,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find out if the boy likes you.
Yeah.
I mean, it struck a nerve for me. And I thought about, I had a crush on, if you were a girl in the students, I had a crush on you at one point, because I was just face redheaded dude that, heavy set. Like I couldn't, I didn't have any money to pay a girl to go out with me on Friday night, but if I did anyway. So that's the lens I look through, being the president of the nerd herd. But it strikes me that when you think about whether the boy likes you or not, in more cases than not, you were looking at a boy who wasn't a reflection of you in terms of your skin color. And so I
Absolutely.
wonder, what is that like? And does that present its own psychological, or how
Absolutely. I've had several instances where there's this one particular instance. I was in high school and there was this boy I liked, and he verbatim said, "I like you, but if you weren't Black, I would date you." And even now when I'm 24, there's certain things that you don't forget when you're developing as a child, good and bad. You remember your favorite teacher, you remember your favorite meal, you remember all the good things, but that also comes with remembering the bad things. And I think it's so important that if you are in a space where you don't look like others, that you have a support group when you go back home to reinforce that you are beautiful, you're kind, you're intelligent, all those things. Because as I'm 24 and I'm confident and I know who I am, but I'm always going to grow and learn more about me. On my bad days, you still remember those things. And it's hard. And that's why I always try to make sure with my younger cousins, my younger friends, siblings, that you just say, "I like your curly hair," or "I love your skin." Those little comments really mean so much. And it's important that even me as an adult, I'm still grateful for even those mean words, because I can take them. I'm strong. I've internalized them, but I've kind of left them where they're at, because it's not, I don't need to pick that up. But it's important that I know what it's like, because when I see another Black girl, I can show her the love. And so I think that even with negativity, it's always important. It's hard. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's something that you have to actively practice. But even with hard times, you have to learn, what can you take from it? And so I took okay, that was my experience. I'm sure it's going to be someone else's, but I can be someone else's good experience. And like you said, like you were a chubby redhead, freckled. And I think that even you're so successful, you're intelligent, but I'm sure the younger you would have liked to heard that someone did like you. And so whenever I step into my classrooms, especially my middle schoolers and high schoolers, I let them know, like, you are uniquely made for you, and love and indulge in that. And so I always tell that to my students. I tell it to my cousins, nieces and nephews, things of that nature. And it's really, really, poopy when someone talks bad about you, but it helps you grow. I know it sounds so easier said than done, but it really does. When you take the time to take everything in, it does help you grow and be a better, stronger person.
Did you just say poopy on Cafecito con Colón?
I said poopy. I
heard it
really
too.
said
I
poopy.
heard it
And you know
too.
what? I took the time to pick that word because I said, what other word could I use? And poopy felt accurate.
Well, I appreciate that. Another first on Cafecito con Colón.
Woo!
Thank you. Look, in all seriousness, Alexandra, thanks for bringing a tear to my eye. But thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing that with us. It's something that we hadn't explored here before, and frankly, something that I hadn't contemplated before. What that's like.
Right.
It's hard enough to open yourself up to potential rejection if you express any kind of interest in another young person when you're in middle school or high school.
Right.
So if you're like Andrew, a handsome black man, but you're still a black man, and you're going to express interest in maybe somebody who doesn't have your same melatonin, is that fear and potential rejection even more damaging because it's at so many levels, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That before. So thanks for taking me there, Alexander.
Of course.
Mr. Personality, Mr. Pleasant Personality.
I think all I can really do is circle back on what they have kind of said. It was strange, and I didn't really understand it at a young age, being the only Black person in my school, or being the only Black kid in the class, or going. It was weird, and it was a lot of adjusting to do. And I guess my main thing that really impacted me was just kind of like the typical stereotypes of, like, just because I'm a tall Black guy, I had to play basketball, even though I did enjoy it.
Hey, Andrew, hold on one second. I love hearing you talk about being a tall Black boy playing basketball, but I think we were having a trouble with our feed there, and I don't want people to miss
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay, got it.
your perspective. So I think we're back and we're good.
Okay.
Maybe the powers that be just wanted to give both a second, Alexandra, to clear our eyes and
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little tear stuck. I had to get it out.
So Andrew, it's all you. Tall Black boy playing basketball.
Tall Black boy playing basketball. Yeah, so I guess it was a little bit easier for me to kind of transition or be in school. I'm sorry, but it still had its challenges because I've had kids just kind of ask me very inappropriate questions. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it was hard. And luckily I found my place with all the summer programs that I did, and I found like I had a nice community around me, but a lot of adjusting.
Sure. Tell us, maybe each of you can take us to a moment in time where maybe you realized that not only were you going to have to deal with kind of the systems not giving you an even starting point in the race, that we talk about privilege a lot, but where it got super personal, where you realize that not only are you going to have to deal with systems, you're going to have to deal with probably at the time you didn't realize it was called microaggression, but you're going to have to deal with microaggressions and maybe unconscious bias. But that moment in time when you realize, my goodness, even in New Mexico, and I like to call it a mixed salad instead of a melting pot, because I want us to embrace people's background.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
And not have it be a melting pot where you have to give up and become a part of others, but that we can all maintain our own sense of personal perspective and heritage, history, and values, but still be along together for this beautiful, beautiful mixed salad. I don't know if but that moment in time when you realize that not only you have to deal with all that, but you also have to deal with overt racism, where you had to kind of swallow that set of circumstances where you said, you know, by God, that is absolutely racist what they just said, and I'm hurt,
Mhm.
and I still have to find a way to move forward in an appropriate way in this given set of circumstances where I'm dealing with overt racism. I'll let it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure we can all think of
Multiple,
many times.
multiple
I
instances.
But I guess, you know, as far as maybe this was micro, but it definitely was overt. I remember being at the mall with my mom, and there was an older woman in the purse section, and
I was there with you.
and I was kind of just, I didn't know you were there. And I was kind of just walking around, and this older woman had knocked down like 2 stands of purses. And she was older, so I kind of like freaked out a little bit and went to go help her. And I start picking up the purses, and I guess I had accidentally picked up the purse that was actually hers. And she grabs it from my hand and is like, "That's mine." And I kind of was just in such shock because I thought, I came over here to help you. I wasn't trying to steal your purse. You knocked down a bunch of purses. I don't know which one is yours. And I remember just being so shocked and like kind of felt like, okay, well, then you pick up the rest of the purses, and just kind of walked away. But I just remember like my intention was I saw an older woman fall down and knock down her purses. My only reaction was to like, oh, let me help her. She needs help. And for her to react in the way that she did just shocked me so much. I had to like, I almost didn't even know what to do with myself. I could even tell her like, oh, I was trying to help you. I think her action was just so jarring to me that I just had to walk away. I had no choice and kind of just kept it to myself because I was such in shock. But I think maybe in a more, something that happened to me, I guess, where I realized, oh, like, you know, this person is doing this because of who I am. I used to work at a clothing store at the mall, and, you know, any job I do, if I'm going to do it to the close to perfection I can, because that's just the person I am. And I feel any job I do is a reflection of me and everything. So I had worked really hard at this job. I wanted to be promoted to a more managerial position, you know, I wanted to make a little more money, and because I felt I had earned it. And, you know, there was whispers that a new position was opening, and, you know, everybody was like, oh, Naomi's going to get it. She's been doing well. And I remember getting the announcement that they had given it to a white boy who had started a year after me, and honestly was not up to par for the job whatsoever. And I remember I just finally felt in my power enough to ask the manager, you know, why did you choose this person over me? And his answer was something so, it was a useless answer to me. He should have just been honest in what he was doing, but said that, oh, on the day that we chose managers, you weren't here, and I kind of forgot about you, basically is what he told me. So I remember just being so in shock. I put in my 2 weeks after that, because, you know, if you're not in a place where someone's going to value your time and the effort that I had put into that, that's when I realized his answer was his, you know, cop out of saying like, they didn't want a Black person in that position. That's how I took it, because everyone else in the job, you know, everyone's like, oh, Naomi's going to get it. So those are kind of my one of the 2 of many that I can bring to the show too. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And Andrew, what do you got?
I guess one of my first remembrance of me kind of coming to that realization was, it was right after around President Obama just got elected around like 2008. And a little girl came up to me and said, I bet you just voted for Obama because he was Black. And a part of me was kind of like, yeah, of course. Like, why would I not vote because he was Black? But at the end of the day, I talked to my dad about it. And I was like, why do you think she would say, like, why is she saying things like that? And he was just kind of telling me that sometimes it's the conversations in her household that her parents are having. So I guess that was kind of just me realizing that there is a difference between white people, Black people, Hispanic people, Native people. And it was saddening to say, but at the same time, it was kind of liberating to know that I do have an identity of my own, and that I have all this culture and expression behind me. So it was a weird experience, but kind of eye-opening at the same time.
Sure. Alexandra.
I'm sitting here trying to think. I was actually going to use yours because I was younger with my sister when that happened, when she was, I think we were at Ross.
No, Dillard's.
We were shopping. My mom's always took us shopping
We
Saturday
shopping
morning all the
day.
time. So I was going to use that experience, but sitting here thinking, I had different ones, like in general, just how we articulate our words, our diction. It's always, you don't sound Black, you don't look Black, you don't talk Black. And me being the savvy person I am, I always ask the question, well, what does Black look like? What does Black sound like? And what that does, it allows the person to kind of check themselves before I have to check them. Because what I realized is it's very, very tiring to always be the spokesperson for all Black people. Yeah. And especially with the Black Lives Matter coming up again. And of course, I do think it's important that I do make myself accessible if there are questions, if there are people who need to speak out or they need someone with information to talk, of course, and I will do that. But what I think is also my take from it is just, it's very exhausting to always have to be the spokesperson and always having to correct someone, always having to do this. And with me and my personal experience, it's always comments like that of like, you don't talk Black, you don't act Black, you don't act like other Black people. And another part of that is like colorism within our own community. So not only do we have to be strong enough to handle the day-to-day discomfort of someone else, but just the colorism within the own community of, well, you're not light enough, or if you're lighter, you could do this, or you are light enough, so you have this kind of leeway. Another one, I'm just gonna keep on adding these in, is, how do I put this into words?
Sounds like it's a pretty tricky situation, but you'll figure it out. Go ahead.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But it's just, there are a lot of, I know it sounds so like it's hard, but it is hard. It really is hard. I wouldn't change anything for a second, but as much as I love being a Mexican native, I do wish that there were times where there are people who looked more like me, because it's so hard sometimes, especially touching back on like being a child and kind of being bullied. I was bullied. I went to this middle school that was truly, I was the only Black person in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And there was this semester of my 7th grade year where I would go on the playground and they would make monkey noises at me. And I think that's something that always stuck in my head. And I remember looking at the teachers, like, you know, like, are you gonna do anything? And now that I'm older, I try to explain it away. I feel like they didn't even know how to help me. They didn't. You know, they were all white. I had predominantly white teachers, white women teachers, and they would make these kids would make monkey noises at me. And I would look the teachers, you know, to step in to intervene, and they just wouldn't say anything. And what I also was, I didn't tell my parents because
it's kind of unbelievable.
Not just unbelievable, but mommy and daddy were always working so hard to put us in private schools, you know, to get the better education. And in my mind, I didn't want them to feel guilty about doing that, like putting us in other schools. But of course, that was more just isolation from, you know, the people who look like you. And so I just never told them that year was very hard for me, because if teachers can't help you, who can help you?
Well, and let's just underscore the point that if educators in a private school with private school population students, which of course naturally have a higher average of income, wealth, access to resources,
right,
and, stable home structures, even in that population, you live that experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just like my siblings, I went to private school the majority of my life, but I graduated from Volcano my last 2 years. And I experienced racism in public schools, but from my personal experience, I can't speak for my siblings, but the most tumultuous years for me were in private schools. And I think that's why I was like, parents, you gotta get me out of here. And I don't think they understood that, because I never expressed it to them until it was a little bit too late. But just because of what you said of like the access of the students who get to go there, it is more segregated 100%. And it really affected me. And I do my best to not let it get me to my days. And I don't, I've grown out of it. But like I said, on your bad days, we're only human. But yeah, that's my experience.
So let's do a power round of questions here, because I unfortunately, it's already like 10 o'clock and I've only asked you to stay with me for an hour, and hopefully I'm not going to keep you from your next event, but let's take just a few minutes. Can you give me just a few minutes more?
Of course, of course.
Good. So power round. So are you all monolingual, or do you speak your native language, or do you speak another language, or?
We can understand Haitian Creole, but we're not, we got to get better at speaking. I want to be able to teach my kids, so I'm trying to take that upon myself. And
Cyrus asked, do they speak Creole? And so everybody wanted to know.
Yeah.
Did you learn the bad words first?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You learn and be like, oh, I remember that word. Yeah.
It's almost universal, right? Like I learned.
Yes.
Unbelievable. How about, real quick, why don't each of you, we'll start with Andrew. Each of you give the greatest strength of your two other siblings.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's a good one.
I want to I give credit where credit's due. Cyrus, I think it was again, or maybe it was, I don't remember who, it was a question from the audience. It's a good question.
Okay. Well, Naomi, she.
Andrew, I gave you some more time to think there. Did you see that? I gave you some helping you out because you have a pleasant personality. PP.
Yeah, thank you. Naomi, she's kind of just like your typical genius, so to say. If I have any type, yeah, I can say it. If I need type of like, during high school, if I needed homework with any type of math issue, an essay, anything really, it was Naomi. Not even my dad or my mom. It was just Naomi. So and she's just a perfectionist in her work. So Naomi is the go-to. And Alexandra, she is kind of just a sweetheart. You know, she loves to just make people smile and just do her. So, yeah, they're both great sisters, no matter how much we fight.
That's awesome. Alexandra.
I will say for my sister, it's her work ethic. Even if she doesn't know something, by the end of the day, she will know the ins and out of it. So that's hers. For my brother, he's like the dark horse, really. Like if you tell him no, he's gonna do what he wants and he's gonna prove to you that he can do it his way. And even though that gets us in our fights, I always find that a strong characteristic, because to have a strong identity of self and making your own choices, even if it upsets others, I think that's charitable. So I think that his just need to always be Andrew authentically is something that I like about him. I love about him.
That's awesome. Naomi, you're up.
Come on, Naomi, what do you got to say?
I'll start.
The eldest for last. You've got the most experience on both of them.
Right. She has the most to say, so we're excited.
I think for my sister, and I see this when she talks to people, she has a way of like captivating folks. People, she could be telling you about the type of cereal she had this morning and people are like,
oh my God, really?
So I think that, that public speaking aspect and that way of captivating people, and, you've seen her at Dreamgirls, she has a way of commanding the stage.
I forgot to mention
And similar to my brother, kind of what my sister said, he is really smart. And I think, and until you get him motivated about something and, you have to explain to him A, B, and C why this is important, he's going to get it done.
He's going to get it done.
But you need to explain to him why this is beneficial.
Because he likes to challenge.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Andrew. He wants to know, well, why do I have to do it? And you have to be like, Andrew, you have to do it. But the important thing is he challenges you, but he'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Andrew, I've got a great career path for you. Come on into the law. It's a great place. Personality. Come be a lawyer. It's been an incredible profession for me. All right, thank you. That was beautiful. I personally have been able to be the beneficiary of observing the beautiful behavior that you have together as a family.
Oh, thank you.
It is truly a thing of beauty. Your family inspires me. And
thank you so much.
I really mean that. I really mean that. Whether it's, you know, whether it's I'm sponsoring cookies for your family at the premiere performance of Dreamgirls at the American Performing Arts Center, or I just see you in the community. You always inspire me, and I'm grateful for that. Tell me, again, speed round, short answers. I got two more, and then I'll let you go. Black Lives Matter, what's it meant to you this moment in time, 10 weeks after the murder of George Floyd? Naomi.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me to point out is that, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement was happening far before George Floyd. And I think what I think has been the biggest impact on me is I'm grateful that people are waking up to it and are, you know, not only has it started an insight into the Black experience, but it's opened up, you know, about so many other minority groups. You know, now people are talking about, you know, disability community and how we look at that, and you know, the inequalities in how states and cities spread their money. You know, that, you know, where you put your money is where you care, where you show you care about things. So I, you know, want folks to remember that it's been there, you know, since Trayvon.
7 years.
And it's important to know that it's going to be here for a while as well.
I guess it's kind of just been a constant fight, like how Alexandra said and Naomi said, just kind of having to constantly talk about those topics and remind people. And kind of, for me, it's more, I don't want to say correcting people, but it is correcting people on how to say or do these things around Black people, around people of that aren't, or people of a minority.
Perfect.
For me, I will say, in the past, when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement, I was super eager to get out there and share the word and educate. But this time around, I was a little bit more angry than I think. I just was more angry because I was like, how long have my parents been fighting this fight? Their parents been fighting this fight, and their parents' parents. So for me, I was angry for a little while, but there was a moment when we had our Black Lives Matter, our first one. It was downtown, and my friend lived downtown. And I remember being like, I'm not gonna go out there, it's COVID, but I will fight my fight, because I will continue to do that. But the amount of people I saw, it just brought me to tears, but like tears of joy in a way, because I think for the first time, more people are starting to understand. We have people in Tokyo protest. There's people in France. There's people all over the world who were finally like, okay, this is not okay. And even though it's like we've been saying this, it's the point of people are changing their minds and they're changing their ideologies. And what Naomi says, it's opened the door for more conversations, open the door. Why are children in ICE being separated from their parents? Why is it so hard for people to understand, like, it is okay that me and you are different, but there's still love and we're human beings? Why are Indigenous people not getting the right to their rights? Why are we forgetting about all these different cultures? And I think that's what's so beautiful Black Lives Matter is, yes, Black Lives Matter, including everyone. And so for me, there's a lot of mix of emotions, but right now I'm just grateful that people of different races and different cultures are becoming keen to it. So that's how I feel.
I appreciate that. Tell us another quick one. We'll start, Alexandra, we'll start and go back. The best way, those of us that tune into Cafecito con Colon, from your perspective, from where you sit, the lens you look through, the life you live, how can we be the best allies and accomplices to support a community that lifts you up?
Listen. I would think just simply listen and to educate yourself. I think that it's kind of disheartening to hear people say, well, I don't know enough about it, so I don't speak. You don't have to know a lot. We're simply saying we matter. We're simply saying, protect us, hear us, care for us. And I think to be a good ally is listen. And when you don't understand, it's not okay just to not understand. Educate ourselves. It's 2020. We live in a world where anything we have a question about, it's at our fingertips. It's at our computers. And it's not hard to educate yourself. So listen and educate.
I guess it would have to be, have those tough conversations, go meet someone outside of your comfort zone, go meet someone outside of your outside of your group and talk to them about some of these issues and just kind of see where their headspace is at, in their opinion, and don't be mad at their opinion as well.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew kind of stole mine. Not only speaking to folks, outside of your bubble, but speak to the folks inside your bubble. Talk to your grandparents, your uncle that's always at the family parties, your cousins, the ones that are always saying crazy things. Ask them why they say that. I think it starts within our smaller communities first. So the conversations to start at the dinner table.
I love it. Let's start more conversations at the dinner table, and let's hold the crazy uncle accountable.
Yeah.
Yes, we all have.
It's no longer okay. I don't have to have you back to my house for dinner if you're going to be a racist. Like, it
Yes.
is okay. Period. Like, you're a racist. You're not welcome in Casa Colon.
Yeah.
No, not me casa, not your casa.
That's right. So a couple quick things here, and then I'm going to have you one last question. I want to remind people they can get their Cafecito con Colon cup for free.
Woo-hoo.
A contribution to the Roots Summer Leadership Academy or the New Mexico Hispanic Bar Association UNM Summer Law Camps. Support those organizations. There's an easy donate button on there to support the Roots Summer Leadership Academy. Phenomenal program hosted by the New Mexico Black History Organizing Committee, led by the dream child of Kathy McGill, who I love very much. And so make sure you do that. Also, I want to say thanks to Jonathan Muniz for coordinating and making these Cafecito shirts. I have now come to learn that many people have purchased these shirts, and that's very, very kind and very nice. And you can get those by reaching out to Jonathan Muniz. Jonathan took some of the proceeds of these t-shirts and helped offset the costs of the Cafecito con Colon mugs so that we could give those away free to donors. I'm going to close today's show asking each of you to tell us something special about your mom and dad. I'm not overstating when I tell you that every single time I'm with your family, I'm enriched. Every single time I think about the three of you, I'm inspired. Every single time I talk to your mom, I finish talking to her in a better mood than when I started, and I'm almost always in a better mood anyway. But your mom has this incredible way about her. And your dad, God bless him, bless his heart. He's that guy standing beside your mom, shaking his head, yes.
Yes.
Said a few words when he's next to your mom, and so I admire him, look him in the eye every time I see him, and he knows I care about his family deeply. But the words we share between the two of us are limited. But your mom's always got some words for me, and they always lift me up, and I'm grateful for that. So I thought the best way to close today, as we're rounding a quarter after the hour, is to ask you to share your thoughts about your parents with us, if you could sum them up in a quick 30 seconds.
I think that it's so important that I let people know that my parents are the funniest people that I have truly ever been around. And as much as we have all these accolades that we have and that we've acquired, there's still lots of love and laughs in this house. Like, I've never met anyone funnier. So yes, they push us to be good and be contributing people in a society, but funny, and laughter is important. Laughter is so important. So I would say, like, how funny my parents are has really touched my heart.
I love it. I love it. Andrew, Mr. P. Germain.
P. Germain.
So I guess with my mom, not only does she have a constant reminder that I am born for success, but it's kind of hard to be sad around her because she's kind of always uplifting me no matter what. I'm pretty sure I could have the face of a goblin. She said that I look beautiful and that I have been the most beautiful child in the world, blah, blah, blah. And I guess my dad, he not only fueled my love for music because he's in a great band with him and his friends, but he kind of reminds me to humble myself and stay true to who I am.
You are a king surrounded by queens, my friend.
Yes, yes.
And if you haven't seen Beyonce's version of Lion King, get on there and watch it. It is awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, for all the folks that, see and understand all the work that the three of us are doing for for Albuquerque and for New Mexico, you know, it all stems from our parents. We wouldn't have anything or would have done any of the things that we do now if it wasn't for them. So, you know, if you see them out in the streets, give them a nod for us. And yeah, just knowing that we owe it all to them.
Andrew, Alexandra, Naomi, I love the three of you. You truly are a New Mexico trifecta. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for taking an hour and 15 minutes out of your day that you'll never get back. You have amazed our audience, our Cafecito colleagues, whether it's Sean Cardinale or Lisa's here, Irma, everybody, Randy Woodcock's even here, Cyrus. We got so many great folks that tuned in today to learn from you. And I know that we all leave better New Mexicans because you shared with us. So thank you for joining us on Cafecito con Colon. Make it a beautiful day. Give my
Thank
love.
you for having us. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
everybody.
Bye, God bless.
God bless indeed.